Hey, Neil McDonald here. Welcome to the Daily LinkedIn Live. I'm going to take a second because I got kind of a technical challenge here and I can't figure out. I feel like it's not working on my actual profile, but it's working on the GovCon chamber. So if somebody can give me a heads up there and let me know that. Whoa, I got LinkedIn sitting open. Hey, Gus, I'm not going to be able to see the LinkedIn, but I can see that it's working. Can you just text me really quick? Let me know that it's working, and we've got a lot to show today, so I'm hoping we can get folks on. But either way, it'll be a good replay too for folks. Um, so hey, as we're getting started, it's funny. I'll give you one technical tip: is try to get in maybe 5 or 10 minutes before your session starts. I'm waiting for a few extra minutes. I usually don't wait. I start right at 12. But the reason I'm waiting a couple of extra minutes is because I'm broadcasting out to my own profile on LinkedIn, on my company page on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, all the platforms, right? But LinkedIn, my personal profile, is where the most people come in. 50 or 100 people a day come in live through there, and it's not working at the moment. So I put a message out there trying to encourage them to come in. Just checking. I'm just texting Gus there to see if he can see it. If he can, I'm going to get rocking and rolling in a second. I'll just wait one more minute till I see that, because there's no point in me starting if he can't see me, right? And actually, if I see that we do have a group of people starting to come in, which is good. Hopefully you're coming in from the other channel there. I'm going to look one more time on LinkedIn. Right, Gus. So I'm going to get started, Gus, because you can see me on the GovCon side. People are coming in there. Hey, Monica. Hey, Carol. Thanks. Glad you guys could see. Gus, can you pop over, just make sure if there's a place to put a comment into the my LinkedIn profile there. Just let people know the link to the GovCon. But I'm going to go ahead and get started, because people can always watch the replay on here if they need to. But I want to get started with today's topic of federal agencies that love women-owned small businesses. I always say, go to those that like you and not those that don't like you. And we're going to talk about the criteria I put around that. But when you think about it, sometimes we focus our efforts in the wrong direction, right? We're pursuing opportunities and relationships in the federal market, but they don't turn into revenue. And there's reasons for that, right? In this lesson, I want to talk to you about focusing your efforts on federal agencies that are more likely to award you a contract as a woman-owned small business, et cetera. This information I'm going to share today, it's specific to women-owned small businesses, but any small business can really follow the processes that I'm teaching women-owned small businesses today. It's just in honor of March Women History Month that I wanted to just do topics focused on women-owned small businesses. In particular, I'm going to talk to you today about the criteria that I use when determining which agencies are best or like women-owned small businesses the most. And really, it comes down to which ones are actually using women-owned small businesses as vendors for their agencies. We're going to talk about which federal agencies prove through their contract awards that they actually do care about women-owned small businesses. I hear every agency out there talk about they care about every small business program, but when you look at the data and the evidence, some care more than others. And I really want to encourage you to focus on the ones that care more. And then if I have enough time, I'm going to talk about steps you can use to market your woman-owned small business to the federal agencies that actually value you. So if this is what you want, and if you're excited about today's training, if you're a woman-owned small business or you support a woman-owned small business, put women-owned small business rocks in the chat. WOSB rocks. So WOSB rocks in there. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to my federal sales training, where I teach tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When you follow the process A to Z, you're going to have predictable, repeatable results. And I know that's what you want. And it's what I want to teach you to be able to have that for you and for your company. Before we get started, do me a favor, put your company name and core competency into the chat. 2 or 3 words or keywords that describe what your company does to make it easy for buyers to remember you and for others like me and the folks in the community to remember who you are. And then finally, I want to say thank you to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce sustaining members. We take no federal dollars and we take no large prime dollars to run the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. It's completely run on the generosity of sustaining members. So we just wanted to say thank you very much. And also keep in mind, if you're a sustaining member, we recently put in a really complete step-by-step approach to business development, which is fundamentally about how do you get into agencies. That was going to be sold as a separate course. We just put it in to the sustaining membership as a thank you, frankly. But it is a course that easily could be standing alone for $1,000, $2,000 in the open market type thing. But going with our goal of helping small business succeed, we just said, let's put that in there. So definitely check that out. It's available to you immediately if you're a sustaining member. Okay, let's go ahead and get started farther into today's topic. And I'm going to go over and share my screen in a minute. But I want to talk first about what agencies you should avoid, in my opinion. When you think about federal agencies that like women-owned small businesses, the agencies you want to avoid are agencies that are missing their women-owned small business goals. If they're missing their women-owned small business goals, they don't care about working with women-owned small businesses. They don't care about hitting those goals. If you care about something, you'll get it done. I'll give you an example that was just staggering to me yesterday when I was doing some additional fresh research in preparation of today's training, which is on March 21st, I think, right? And I looked at this agency. I was looking at these different agencies and their performance. One agency had like 7%. They achieved 7% for service disabled veteran owned, and their goal is 3%. And they achieved 7 or 8% for HubZone, and their goal is 3%. But in that same agency, somehow these folks only hit 1% when the goal is 5% federal wide. When I see that, I see an agency that doesn't care about hitting that goal. And to me, it tells me you don't care about women-owned small businesses. That's cool. I'm going over here. And so that means that agency will suffer the loss of a supplier base that sees them as not caring. And I want you to recognize that they don't care. When they start caring, they will reach out to more women-owned small businesses. It is not hard. I do it on a daily basis, and the government has millions of dollars to do it. So I want you to go to the agencies that are actually hitting their goals. So the next thing is, I kind of want you to do this reverse thinking for a second. Avoid agencies that are hitting their goals, right? Doesn't mean anything. And the reason I'm saying this, and it's something to keep in mind, and this is an interesting thing, is if you're just hitting it, then what you're doing is you're giving yourself credit for getting a goal. I'm going to tell you where you really want to go, right? There's a difference between an agency that is awarding contract dollars to you and an agency that is hitting an SBA achieved goal. That's why I'm saying avoid the ones that are just hitting their goals, because it doesn't mean anything. The SBA gives A's to those very agencies that I just said can't come close to 1%, let alone 5%. So it's as if my children are giving themselves their own grades. That's not the way it should work, right? Half of these agencies that are hitting their goals and getting an A grade from the SBA are failing women-owned small businesses, right? And we can talk about the depths of that later. I'd be happy to share, in particular with government, the data and evidence that just screams this. But most importantly, for you small businesses, don't pay attention to the goals. You want to pay attention to the contract awards and the dollars. And then if you want to go deeper, you pay attention to the type of work that's being awarded. Are you just doing lawn care awards, or are you doing cybersecurity and emerging technologies? I talked about this a long time ago, and I'll just bring it up again. But there was this agency that was not hitting its goal, and I watched it lower its goal. And this is a DoD agency. So what I wrote was this article that said this defense agency is retreating. And we in the military, we don't retreat from anything, unless we're ordered to. But they just kept lowering their goal, and they lowered it by 73% until they got an A grade. And that's why I'm saying avoid those agencies that are just hitting their goals. The goals, again, don't mean anything. I don't see them achieving any real performance towards supporting women-owned small businesses, and so I don't care about the goals. And the last thing about avoiding agencies that are just hitting their goals is that goals sometimes are achieved in an agency by one massive purchase. I saw this happen with a large department, not just an agency, sub-agency, right? Large department awarded like $1 billion purchase through a hub zone, and it was primarily product-based, meaning it was going to Dell or somebody else. So that hub zone didn't get that billion. The hub zones didn't get that billion. That money basically came into a hub zone and went straight back out. And, clearly the hub zone probably picked up a percentage on top of it, but, Dell brought it down. And so sometimes those goals that agencies hit are achieved in ways that when you look at them, don't really mean anything. So a very large award or a few of these to just a very small amount of companies doesn't do anything. What I look for, and the criteria I look for, is I'm looking for agencies that are actually buying from women-owned small businesses, that are actually awarding contract dollars, like a large amount of dollars to women-owned small businesses, and the number of contracts. I want to see that there's that they're using women-owned small businesses. And today you'll see me talk about that in two different ways. I'm going to talk about people working with women-owned small businesses, awarding contracts to women-owned small businesses in just sheer numbers. And then separately, I want to show you the numbers based on set-asides, because there's really interesting data there, because sometimes they might not set it aside, but they show that they work with women-owned small businesses over and over again. And so that's a good thing. You want to get in there. And if you're lucky, then you can get them to make it a set-aside, which reduces competition. So if you understand that we want to have a common set of belief around, what does it mean when we say that you actually love women-owned small businesses as an agency, you actually see the value of women-owned small businesses. If you know that we should have a common belief around that, put common belief just into the chat. Let me know you're following with what I'm talking about when I say avoid the agencies that are missing their goals, avoid the agencies that it's just about the goals, and look for the agencies that are actually spending money with women-owned small businesses, that are coming back to women-owned small businesses over and over again, saying, I want you to come in and support our agency mission. Those are the ones to do. So put common belief into the chat. So again, I'm going to go and share my screen really quick, but what I'm going to share and the way I want you to understand this is that when I think about what agencies love women-owned small businesses, it comes down to it's defined by the awards they make, not the goals. And that's what we're going to look at. And I'm going to show you the top 10 agencies in two different categories as we look at it for women-owned small businesses. So let me share my screen here. Okay, I should be able to be sharing my screen there. Let me just close this guy. Okay, so by the way, before I go in, if you haven't done this, download the Small Business Specialist Directory, because when I show you agencies that are that work with women-owned small businesses that clearly put their money where their mouth is about we want women-owned small business suppliers, you will want to reach out to the agency. And this directory has over 1,000 names of small business specialists within the federal agency. So over 1,000 names, numbers, and emails. And then download these other two directories, Supplier Portal, Long Range Acquisition, if you haven't done this already. Okay, so let's dive in. Where I go to get my data and evidence is FPDS, right? So I'm coming into FPDS, and if you haven't done this before, I just want to show you my way of using this tool. I'm not an expert teacher on FPDS, but I have used FPDS for my entire career, right? So I go in, I get out, and I have my tips on how to use it. But in particular, by the way, this whole screen's just a waste to me. Like when I get here, this thing, first off, if FPDS was a good developer, they'd get rid of those words so I could type something. They don't. So what I do very quickly to get to the part that matters is I just click in the search bar and hit enter. And when I do, it takes me to this screen here that allows me now to build my filter. So I want to show you how I will build it, looking for the agencies that support women-owned small businesses. So I'm going to do a new search here, and I'm going to say, the first thing I'm looking for on the action obligation, you can use your own number, but I'm going to say, show me from 100,000 to 100 million. So that's one criteria I want. I want to know that it's a significant size. I don't actually care at the moment about simplified acquisition or even anything below 100,000, because yes, it'd be nice to get those contracts that are under 100,000. But when I think about, do you really care about working with women-owned small businesses? I want to see things closer to 5, 10, 25 million. And so that's why I do it this way. The next category filter I want to put on is date signed. So I just want to look for the past couple of years. So I'm going to say 2020 till today, or basically today. So I just do that. Now I've got my date criteria in, right? I'm going to add one more in here, and this one is called socio. So the socioeconomic indicator, and I'll show you a field if you haven't seen it. But basically, in here, people have their small business designation. In this case, woman-owned small business is WOSB, right? So that's the search criteria I want. When I hit search, over the last couple of years, what I get back is that 62,000 contract awards happened at $100,000 or more. Another reason I do that 100,000 is because I want to get rid of all the activity that's in FPDS that not only is down to zero, but there's a ton of activity that's below zero. I don't want to see any of that. I just want to see these higher numbers. So, so you see right here, let me just make sure I'm kind of confirming what I'm trying to show you here. First thing is just showing you this result, right? Action obligation is the amount I'm wanting to do. You might do it at 25,000 to 5 million, whatever it is fine. And then the period you really want is the last couple of years. You don't really want to go too far back because, that was so last decade. And then you want the socioeconomic indicator, and I'm going to come and show you that in a second. Let me zoom back out here. And I want to come over here to this side, and I want to show you, I'm trying to get all fancy with my touch screen, but it's bouncing around. I want to show you the top departments and agencies, right? So departments don't mean a whole lot because they're so big, but it gives you a general understanding of defense, health, and DHS are sitting pretty high up there. But really, it's, there's this barrier from DHS and above where it's up there pretty significantly. But look at DOD, right? DOD is huge, but so is HHS. HHS isn't as big as DOD for contract dollars, but it's way, way down there. And so that's an interesting piece of information. And then when you come down a little bit, you see the contracting offices or agencies and where this is coming from. And this is the first answer to today's session. Which agencies really put their money where their mouth is and love working with women-owned small businesses. So right here, you can see the Army, Navy, and Air Force sit right at the top. DLA is the one I want to show you in a minute, which is a really interesting one. But as I look at these, I don't see any HHS. Right there, NIH. One area in there, but I don't see CDC. I don't see some of these others, which is an interesting thing to me because I would think HHS would be really friendly to women-owned small businesses. But anyways, this is where I'm looking. And one of the interesting things for me is how much activity and how much room there is perhaps for me to go to the Army. So the reason I like looking at this is I say the top agencies for women-owned small businesses are these 10 right here. I can use different criteria to come up with a different group, but fundamentally, these guys are going to sit at the top. I want to go and show you another search in a second. Let me just do my guy here. In this one, let me see if I can do the same search. Sometimes I can copy it and it lets me do it, and sometimes I can't. Good. So let me do this. What I want to do is get to the end, and I want to get rid of this guy, the socioeconomic indicator. And what I want to do now, just make sure, what I want to do now is go into this advanced search. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. I want to go in here and add a category for set aside. And this one's called, it's all the way at the bottom here, called type of set aside. So originally I said, show me any opportunities that were won by a woman-owned small business, not set aside, but won. So now when I come in and I say, show me type of set aside that is woman-owned small business, in here, it's radically different. Same time frame, same dollars, but 2,600 compared to 62,000. And I'll come back and give you my thoughts on it. But just showing you again the search. Let me come over here. So if you're copying down the search, you're trying to pay attention to this for later. The search is the 100,000 to 100 million. The date signed is the last couple of years, 2.5 years, basically. And I always start, by the way, on a new fiscal year. And then this, and here I'm saying set aside is woman-owned compared to the socioeconomic is woman-owned small business. It's a little different because set aside women tells me the agency actually determined to set this opportunity aside. So let me back up a little bit here and then come over to this other side. And it's a similar activity that you can see. And I'm just going to stay down here at the contracting agencies. When you start looking at it, one of the interesting things that I see, going back to my HHS, right? I don't see an HHS agency. In fact, this one called the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and I can't remember, somebody help me out, but I think that's DOT, transportation, could be something else. But anyways, this one here, right? It pops up above almost anybody else. Clearly, this agency likes setting aside opportunities for women-owned small businesses more than other agencies. This one down here, look at this one. It's DLA, right? Defense Logistics Agency. And right here, if I zoom in, oh, a little too close. Let me come out a little bit. So DLA is up here. So DLA did 4,000 contracts over the last 2 years with women-owned small businesses. But when you look at how many they actually set aside, and I know this is like zoomed in a lot, but the number that they did set aside was only 53. That makes me want to go back to Dwight Daniel, who's out there at DLA, or some of the other folks, and say, hey, what's the discrepancy? You know, there's women-owned small businesses that are winning contracts. You're totally happy with awarding them contracts because they can do the work and they prove it. But you're only setting aside 53 out of 4,000 opportunities that even went to women-owned small businesses. What does it take for you to do 100 set-asides in a single year? What are you missing? They must be missing something. But one thing is for sure, though, DLA, even though they only did 53 set-asides, they're showing and demonstrating through their acquisition that they are that they do see the value women-owned small businesses bring to the mission, and that women-owned small businesses can support their need. So there's your 10 agencies on set-asides and on just women-owned small businesses winning. And let me show you what I meant on that. So these are BPA calls. I'm going to try to avoid them. Actually, for the fun of it, let's just say, let's look at the largest woman-owned small business contract. Well, it's $100 million. And so that one's an interesting one, right? This will be a really interesting one. I don't know anything about it. It's always fun when you do this live to see what's going to happen. But if I come in here and say, I want to look at this $100 million contract, it was coming down here. The part I'm looking for, right, is it's a $415 million contract. But the part I'm looking at is if I come down here, it is telling me that the business that won this is a woman-owned small business. Now, clearly, they're not a woman-owned small business anymore because that will pretty much put them out of business, I'm assuming. I mean, put them graduate to small. But this is the type of stuff that I used when I was pushing the Hub Zone program that I think women-owned small businesses could do. More contracting officers need to see that places like this, and I didn't even pay attention to who won this, or who awarded this, but agencies like this trust women-owned small businesses to deliver, and these women-owned small businesses are delivering. If I come down, I bet you this is full and open. Oh, this is even interesting, right? It's saying only one source. I don't understand how it can be there. I'm not here to dig deep into that, but it is an interesting concept in there. You can do that same thing, though, as you start coming down. Oh, sorry, the part I wanted to show you. Let me get past these BPA calls. Come on, there's got to be, there we go, delivery order. So this 197,000. The two places I wanted you to pay attention to where a woman-owned small business are seen and how I use my criteria in FPDS, and I'm trying to kill time as that thing's loading, is right here. The first one is I'm looking for socioeconomic status of woman-owned small business, not woman-owned business, because woman-owned business could be a large company. I'm looking for where they're awarding to small business, women-owned business owners. And then the other one where I said set aside is down here. So here, the set aside used was woman-owned small business. And you can see this was done under a simplified acquisition. So if you're not familiar with FPDS, come in, take time to explore. They got training material in here that you can go look at, et cetera. But this is, let me just pause, come back to my slides, et cetera. This is how I quickly go in and I find the agencies that are definitely buying from women-owned small businesses, which is why I say these are the ones that love women-owned small businesses. They're not talking the game; they're awarding contracts. They're in the game and they're playing. And so, very quickly, because I don't have a lot of time left, I just want to give you some steps on how you can get started with those agencies if you're not. But the first thing is research. Pick one agency or department that you saw in there, and then dig in further. Look to see if the contracts they're awarding to women-owned small businesses align to what you do. Are they buying office services from you? Are they buying cybersecurity, or are they just buying supplies and there's no real room for professional services? Whatever you do, get in there and then begin to target, right? So the first step of the 7-step process is targeting that we teach. Research that I just talked about. Second step is targeting. And targeting is where you go back into FPDS and you find contracting officers. When you go into each one of those contracts that were awarded, if you click on it, more often than not, you will find the name and email of the contracting officer who's in charge of that and putting it up there. You can do some reverse engineering and go over into SAM and maybe find the same opportunity listed out on SAM, where on SAM, it's a solicitation notice or maybe even award notice, but FPDS, it's all award notices. But over there, you can find points of contact. And then you can use our small business directory that I mentioned earlier that's on govconchamber.com. You can go there, download that directory. And if you're looking at DLA, for example, I think we have 100 DLA small business professionals in there. So it's a wealth of information. And then the last step on getting started with these agencies that love women-owned small businesses is to just reach out to them. Pick up the phone, leave a voicemail, follow up with an email. Tell them you'd like to set up a 15-minute introduction call. Don't have it right then and there. Try to schedule the call, which gives you a little bit more time to do prep and come to the meeting much more prepared, which perhaps allows you to have a successful meeting in there. But those are 3 steps that you can take: research, targeting, and outreach that'll allow you to get into those agencies that are demonstrating through contract awards and set-asides that they value women-owned small businesses. So just as a recap about what we talked about, right? Focus on the agencies that actually award contracts, that actually buy from women-owned small businesses. Don't worry about the ones that are missing goals for sure, because they don't care. And don't worry about ones that are just hitting the goal. Look for the ones that are awarding contracts, in particular contracts like you want. The second thing is knowing who those top agencies are and who the people are by using FPDS, our directory, SAM, all the tools that are available to you out there. And then the third thing we talked about is those 3 steps to getting started: research, targeting, and outreach. Highly recommend you to, after this training, and today, if you can, just take a few minutes and go to FPDS and follow that little script that I used, the filtering that I used in FPDS, to determine which agencies are the top agencies for you based on the products you sell and perhaps your program, if your small business program. If you're not just a woman-owned small business, then you can also look at these other programs. But go use FPDS and figure out who are those top agencies that are buying what you want to sell, and determine, are you going in there and knocking on their doors, or are you knocking on doors of agencies that perhaps don't even care about women-owned small businesses? Hey, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter that we put out, go on to LinkedIn profile and subscribe to that. Join. I think we've got like 6,250 people subscribe right now. So just join us. It's a great another community, and it's a place where I put the word out. Last thing is, I want you to remember that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process like the process I showed you today. I'll see you in the next training.